Hickok 45, your internet shooting companion, coming to you from the beautiful hills, well, the barren hills of Middle Tennessee. Yes, Tennessee, the home of this Model 29 and me. Yes, we're partners. We're buddies. Yes, we've been together for 45 years this year. Okay? In a few weeks it will be 46 years. So anyway, I thought I'd bring it out today. Kind of a informal anniversary, I guess you could say. I started to do a video, 45-year video. We did a 40-year video, I think. Maybe we did a 35-year video. I don't know. We'll wait to maybe 50 years. You think YouTube will be around? Think I'll be around? Think this will be around somewhere? You never know, do you? Never know. But anyway, yeah, it's 45 years. Bought this in the fall of '74. And even by my Kentucky math, who cannot divide 200 by 20, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you haven't seen a couple of videos, right? But yes, this is 45 years. So today it's just a home of my Model 29 and me. And by the way, me is correct. Somebody was correcting me. Not that I always use correct grammar, but I had answered a comment or said something in a video and said John and me, I think. And hey, let's do a grammar lesson today. Nothing but grammar in the shooting the breeze. But you do realize that it's not always Bill and I. We have that drummed into our heads when we're young, because we're always running to mommy and saying, can me and Billy do something? Or Billy and me want to go do something? Whatever. And it's Billy and I. They're correcting you, maybe, if people even correct kids on that anymore, right? But hey, there's such a thing as objective case and nominative case. So sometimes it is like this video is about this gun and me. This video is about me. Okay, so just take one of those nouns out, pronouns, and you'll get the answer, right? Simple fix. Anyway, that's a little cheat fix. So yeah, I'm wrong sometimes, but sometimes I'm not, and somebody thinks I'm wrong. So anyway, good to see you all over here in the woods again. It's been about a month. Keep meaning to do this every couple of weeks, and I don't do it. And of course, my one plan was to do it every 2 weeks and make it shorter, right? You know how that worked out, didn't it? Yeah, well, just 2 weeks, same length. Maybe 2 weeks, every 2 weeks, and longer. So I hope you all been doing fine, and you've been doing smart stuff. You've been getting a lot of shooting in, or a lot of gun cleaning, a lot of gun fondling, a lot of gun researching, or something, okay? Maybe a lot of gun video watching. Hey, that's all some people can do. And, yeah, that's something, I mean, we all like to, I've spent a lot of hours before YouTube, before the internet, reading gun magazines. More hours reading gun magazines, looking at the pretty pictures than I did shooting, probably. So I guess, things haven't changed that much. So before we go too far, oh man, if you live in Virginia, you know what's going on, I hope. If anybody in the state of Virginia has not come out from under their rock lately, gosh, I gotta get me one of those mufflers. Actually, I don't think it's a muffler. I think it's you take the muffler off your car or truck so that people will see you. You'll be cool, get lots of dates, right? My question is, do you really want to date some gal? And I'll say it's probably a guy, right? Yeah, pretty safe assumption. Do you really want to date, if you're a girl, female, woman, okay? Do you really want to date someone who is trying to get your attention and be cool because he took the muffler off his truck? That might say more about you than him. Anyway, whatever floats your boat, though. So anyway, yeah, Virginia, my gosh, unless you're living literally under a rock, you know what's going on, and you're geared up. But I want to mention it. I've been trying to share things on Facebook, articles and videos here and there People are keeping everyone apprised of that. And that's not what we do. We don't do a video every day, every week about the current events. But I try to share those. And you should know by now, folks who are doing that sort of thing. Keep up with Collier Noir, keep up Guns and Gadgets. Who else? There's so many people that I saw one this morning. Can't think of the guy's name. Very out there, personality-wise. Does a lot of that too. I think almost every day, every couple of days. But there's plenty of folks. Just Google and go to YouTube and do the search thing for Second Amendment news or whatever, and there's just a lot of people who do that. They don't really have an opportunity to shoot as much or review guns or that sort of thing, and that's their thing, and they do a great job of it. Guns and Gadget does, is that the name of the channel? Guns and Gear, Guns and Gadgets, I think. He does a wonderful job. I think he has a video almost every day on whatever's going on anywhere in the country, Second Amendment wise. Okay, so keep up. And things are looking bad in Virginia. The good side of that is about 88 or some counties are either in the process or have already declared their county Second Amendment sanctuary. However much that gets accomplished, I'm not sure in the ultimately, but it's great. It's a great start. It sends a really strong message, doesn't it, to the gun banners. I've been saying that for a few months now, how I love these "I will not comply" t-shirts and things and the slogans, because the gun banners need to realize that compliance on these crazy laws they're trying to pass and have passed is almost nil. Look at the compliance rate, in Connecticut, New York, California. It's almost not even noticeable, not even a number you can see, okay, percentage-wise. So, hey, spend the next 2 years trying to outlaw this revolver or whatever the heck it is, or my four-wheeler that's sitting back there, How many of them are you going to get turned in, okay? So anyway, just something to think about, that you're devoting your life to doing something that ain't going to get done, even if you get it done on paper. There's too many people that believe way too strongly in the Bill of Rights, including myself and most people I know, including most of or all of you, right? Anyway, if you're in Virginia, you got to be active. I mean, really active, and let your legislators know where you stand in no uncertain terms. And it's just crazy. This is kind of a wake-up call, I think, to everybody, because it's Virginia. I think when something like this happens in California, or not to diminish, anybody else's problems in other states, but happens, we kind of expect weird stuff out of California and brainless stuff, and then in Connecticut and in New York, Massachusetts, New Jersey, northeastern states, they have a problem with freedom to begin with. So, we think, oh man, can't believe it. I'm glad I don't travel up there. I'm not going to Connecticut, or I'm not going to New Jersey. It's like I say that. I drive around, even Maryland. I like to drive around those states. It's hard to drive around Maryland when you're up there. I'm too old or too young to sit in a federal prison because I've got a bullet in my car or a firearm that's legal, everywhere else in the country almost. But really, gosh, this is Virginia, which is the South essentially. You may not think of it as the South, but Virginia is getting into the South, a huge state, rural state for the most part, beautiful mountains. You think back to the history there of the Revolutionary War, Civil War, everything. It's the first Civil War. Virginia, this is unbelievable. And it should be a wake-up call to all of us in every state, if we haven't been awakened, because so often we're very apathetic. Everybody is, not just gun owners, but we're guilty of the same thing. And we don't spend our lives mobilizing for this cause and that cause like some people do. They don't have much of a life going any other way. They don't have a lot to do, or that's their little thing to be seen and heard and always be chasing a cause, whether it makes sense or not. There's just a lot of people like that, right? And most of those people are of a political persuasion that is against guns. So that's just right in their wheelhouse to organize and be verbal and be voting and organizing and having rallies and demonstrations and all that kind of thing, and really being in the ear of their elected officials more so than we gun owners by and large. I'm generalizing, but we're a kind of an independent sort, and we kind of like to be left alone. You do your thing, I'll do mine. Kind of more of a libertarian point of view, I think. And generally speaking, gun owners, and that's not good when all these decisions are made, in at the Capitol houses, in various states or the Capitol, the United States, and where lobbyists and whoever's calling, making the phone calls and the emails and doing all that stuff is, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And we're not squeaky enough quite often, not even voting enough. Okay? So, again, I'm preaching to you, but if wherever you live, and if you have been bad about not voting or being involved at all politically, we're bringing this on ourselves, by that inactivity, that apathy. It's just that simple. If, I mean, right now there are people in Virginia, I'm sure, who are driving to the store or wherever, and they see the school where voting always takes place, and they're probably thinking, maybe I should have bothered to vote, last time or the last 10 times, it's tough in these states where you've got, and that's happening in all states really, where you've got an urban area that's dictating to the rest of the state, what the laws are going to be, what's restricted and what's not, and that sort of thing. Is because primarily these goofballs have run these cities very poorly. The crime is rampant, and of course, there's people shooting each other, and imagine that. And so they just blame it on the guns. It's a lot easier, isn't it? It's not something else. It's not the living conditions or whatever. So we've got to really, really be active and keep an eye on things and make sure in your state you're doing the right thing, everything you can at the county level and the state level and in the national level. And I don't know what all we can do to help Virginia. We're all in support of Virginia. Be sure we share, information, what's going on there. And I don't know, it doesn't hurt to contact the legislators there. I don't know, from even out of state. Maybe burning up their phone lines would help, or filling up their inboxes, their email. Whatever we can do, we gotta stop it. I mean, the leak is obvious, and it's a cancer. It's a cancer that's growing. It really is. And a lot of people are going to be, I don't know, quick to act on this. It seems, and the action really needs to be taken ahead of time. That's where we have failed to act enough, is the things I just talked about. And I'm not always perfect either, but in contacting and voting, and then when we lose our freedom, we're ready to take up arms. Yeah, it might happen sometime, but it's because we procrastinated. We put off acting. There's always a consequence, of actions and inactions. And I think often this is a huge consequence of inaction, lack of organizing and acting in various ways. We've got to do everything we can. We might still, not be successful in some places, but we've got to do everything we can, rather than just say, well, I bought my gun, I've bought my ammo, and even joining gun rights organizations. It doesn't solve everything. We're responsible, so we gotta get out there and do it. Got to do it. And we got to stick together. Oh man, especially in the light of this and what's happening, and it doesn't bode well for the future. I mean, we're in a battle from here on out, right? We've been in a battle. The petty stuff, arguing about gun rights organizations or what you should do, what you shouldn't do, the proper approach, or gun owners are like anybody else. We can be as middle schoolish, sorry, middle schoolers, we can be as middle schoolish as anybody, cliquish, envious, and just all that, jealous, and all those stupid things that are non-productive, and bicker amongst ourselves, waste time doing that stupid stuff, and in order to get attention, that's about all is achieved, a little bit of attention, and then that's just pathetic attention, or else people who give you the attention think you're pathetic, but at least you're getting attention, right? Like a toddler, trying to get attention. We got to stick together, of course. I was reminded this week, I went to YouTube on my phone, and a video of Clint Smith popped up, and it was Burning Bridges, I think, was the title of the video. And I wondered what he was going to say. I've always liked Clint Smith. Met him, SHOT Show. I think I told y'all about that last year, I guess, yeah. So he's a neat guy, neat old guy. Say old, I don't know how much older than I am he is, but he's a neat old guy, and he's got a lot of experience, in the military, been shot, trained his whole life, and all that kind of thing. And, I mean, he is one of the icons of that world, training, that find somebody who doesn't respect him. You're going to have to look long and hard, I would imagine. Well, other than goofball, anti-gunners. And it was an interesting video, but he was, it was partly it was reacting to things people had been saying about him, apparently, and I don't know what that would have been. Somebody else didn't like his techniques or whatever he was focusing. I don't know, but I thought, oh man, come on, Clint, get used to this. It's the new world, the internet. But it's the same old deal. I mean, it doesn't matter who you are, what you're doing, you're going to get hammered. On the internet, there's just so many people who have really no life or nothing better to do, or more importantly, they're doing it to get attention, right? Imagine that, He made a point in there how he didn't think he had ever said a bad thing about anybody doing the stuff he does, or anybody in the firearms world like that he can remember, and then people getting it. Doesn't really matter, Clint. I mean, they're out there. Those folks are out there. They're going to hammer. If you have a YouTube channel or you do anything, you're in the public face. Some of you are. Many of you are not, but some of you are. Get ready for it. That's just part of it. And as I've said before, after a few years, you begin to realize, well, it's just a symptom of doing something that's fairly successful. It's all it amounts to. It really is, because people are going to try to get attention, and back to my point, how I got off on that, it's non-productive, totally non-productive, because we got folks in the firearms community acting like little baby middle schoolers when they could be doing things to help keep everybody informed and not be constantly just trying to self-justify, themselves and what they do versus other people, or stupid, childish things like that, juvenile things. We need to really get united on this front and save that for later, or save it for, I don't know, some other place, the bar or something. But we're in a battle, and it's not going to end. It's not going to end. And not to be pessimistic, I'm still dealing with my teeth, of course. Not to be pessimistic about it, but the thing that makes me a little pessimistic is just people in general. Again, same thing. Look through comments on videos, look on the internet. There are just a lot of people who are non-critical thinkers, shallow people, have not much going on, angry, they unhappy with their lives. You see that. Now, it's not as big as it appears, maybe. The internet makes everything seem more important or bigger, that sort of thing. But there's just a lot of people like that. And as I've said before, look at the elections that take place and how many people vote for that candidate that you think, wow, who would vote for her or him after what he or she has said and what they stand for? what they want to ban or whatever it is. I mean, I can understand some people voting that way, but virtually half the population of my county or my state or my country. Yeah, so I mean, that's the reality of it. That's the reality of it. That's what we're up against. That's why we can't afford to lose like anybody. We can't afford to lose even like 1%. Just can't do it. So anyway, stay active, and I'm still hopeful we'll keep defeating these forces. And but it's state by state. So whatever state you're in, get active. We basically it's the same as achieving what they're trying to do nationally. If they can just roll over all the states like dominoes, over the next 10 years or 50 years or whatever it is. So, we don't want to be in, I don't know, 5 years, 5 months, or, whenever, talking about Virginia, just like California. You can't have an AR-15, or you got a weird 10-round magazine, or you can't even own it, or whatever the case might be. You can't even buy a gun unless it's on this approved list. It's got to be a revolver, or it's got to be a 3-shot semi-automatic, or it can't be and we're all just encouraging people to move out of the state of Virginia. Well, where are they going to go? We can't just keep moving out. We're going to run out of states. So do what you can, Virginians, and we're here to keep folks informed. And thankfully, in today's world, with the internet, there's not a lot of secrets. Really not. There's still a lot of apathy. So if this is the first time you're hearing about this, man, where have you been? If you're young and this stuff turns you off, I'm sorry, you're probably watching this because you like firearms. And if you're 15 or you're 12 or whatever you are, and we always want you to be welcome, feel welcome. The world as you know it may be totally different, in 6-8 years, so be thinking about what you can do, encouraging your parents, your uncle, your aunts, your family members to stay involved, get involved, and don't pay much attention to some of the drivel you hear in your school from your teachers who would like to ban every firearm. And you can tell, you can listen to someone speak about 2 minutes or less, you can kind of tell where they stand. They may act like they're real objective, but there's always that but. Well, I'm for the Second Amendment, but there you go. You're going to hear that, aren't you? So anyway, enough on that. I won't preach at you too much. Very important stuff, and stay up with the folks who really keep up with this. Bookmark those channels and know what's going on, and then act. Let the folks you voted in or your neighbors voted in know what you think and where you stand. Okay. So what else? This well, I already talked about it, didn't I? It is neat. It is neat having a firearm that long. I mentioned that in the recent video, the Super 90, because I have had it 30 years this year, and then this one 45, and I've had some others for a long time. This is the longest that I purchased myself. I have, as you might know, the little, it's a Sentinel, actually high standard, but it's really from Western Auto, the Revelation 22 I got from Dad. I've been shooting it since I was 10 or 11, and I have that, so that's a good bit longer. And also the rifle he gave me when I was about 12, 13, and the 22 bolt action rifle. So I've had those longer. But as far as me going into a shop or a gun show like this, I bought this at a gun show in Nashville, and it was Carter Hardware had set up there. I don't think they're still in business, but they sold guns. Like back then, a lot of hardware stores sold guns, and I bought that baby. Sure did. Was happy to find it. Shot it a few times. So what else? Well, what have I been up to? What have we been doing? Well, I mentioned in a Facebook posting, and I think even on Instagram I posted a picture. Went over to Valor Ridge and took a Pistol Craft 1 course last week, of all things. And Some folks were surprised. Why'd you do that? What are you doing? Yeah, well, hey, everybody can use a little help. I have never taken a course like that. I've been shooting my whole life. I when I was a reserve deputy, I did some volunteer work for the police department. There was so-called training. And of course, I've shot competition. Many of you know IDPA, USPSA, cowboy action shooting, and I've always been a pistol arrow, preferably, or I preferred pistols early on over rifles or shotguns. And I've always enjoyed shooting pistols, learning to shoot handguns of any sort, and so I've just been self-taught, really. But it has been in the back of my mind. I used to be sorry I didn't go out to gun sight before Cooper passed away. It'd been interesting to do that with Cooper. Or get out, speaking of Clint Smith, get out to Oregon. He used to be in Texas. I even thought about that. And, go take a course. Maybe I'll do that before Clint passes away. But I just thought it'd be cool. And I've been seeing some videos that Reed Hendricks had put up. And most people know him. You probably know him or seen his videos, one or two or so. And I just kind of liked his approach. I thought, you know what? I think I might just sign up and go there and take a course. And that's what I did. 2-day course. And I wanted to, as I said in the Facebook posting, I wanted to kind of go under the radar. I just wanted to go take it for a couple of days and enjoy it. And there were a couple of things I wanted to work on for sure. And I knew there'd be other things in the course that would be covered. Just practice, shooting weak hand some and different things. Things that I've worked on some, and I'd like to see and know more about his recommendations for technique and those sorts of things. But one of the things, couple of things that I knew I was weak on, let me lay this baby down, the pine needles, was my draw stroke, which I've done a lot of drawing pistols, okay, or clear, Glock, of all things. But I've always relied on my experience and having done it so much and finding my sights and everything. And I knew that I was kind of bringing a gun out, finding a target and bang, and kind of like if you're skeet shooting, there it is, and you shot so much shotgun that you can hit most of them just by going up there, even without using really good technique or the perfect technique, and you get most of them, have fun doing it, whereas with a little training, you can improve that, So I knew that I had been trying to, in recent months, to improve it anyway, partly from his videos, some other things I had seen, but, bringing it up properly and bringing it more straight out, where that sight's under your eye, and boom, it's just a smarter kind of a draw. And then also just more focus on accuracy and finding that sight and making sure on that first shot you're right on target, And because I can be sloppy, partly because I've shot so much, I can shoot pretty fast on stuff. I pull it out and I'm shooting a steel plate and I miss the first time, and a tenth of a second later I can hit it, well, now a tenth probably, but I can pop it 4 times, real quick. And so in some ways you're covering up your deficiency because you really want to put the first bullet on there. And so those two things were especially what I was wanting to I don't know, get some guidance and just improve on it, and so and I did. I feel better about it. I just need to work on it, but improve my draw stroke, bring it out there, and the sights are more in position, presenting the firearm. And I'm not going to go into competition or anything, but I just feel better about some of that. I know what I was doing wrong. I know what I should be doing, put it that way. Okay, and it's just a matter of working on it some more and focusing on it, and you'll see me still doing it the old way or not doing it properly, in videos and kind of that sort of thing. But and then partly I just thought it'd be fun. I hadn't been in any kind of structured thing like that in a long time, and like I said, I wanted to kind of go under the radar. I didn't want to go with Hickok 45 and make it a meet and greet kind of deal, or I just wanted to go learn, and improve from where I am. And so it was great. I didn't even tell Reed I was coming or had signed up because he didn't know my real name or anything. So I didn't flag anything. As I said in the Facebook post, I was there first. I was the first one there, and he came up to open the gate on the four-wheeler, and he did a double take, and because he did recognize me, he knew me, and I had met him briefly, and I'd forgotten or didn't know him at the time with John at NRA meeting, but. So it was kind of funny. He was surprised to see me, and but we had a great 2 days. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and he was a great teacher, as I said in the posting. He and Patriot Nurse both. She helps out, and they're both great folks, and had a good time. And I fully expect somebody to hate on me for going there, and hate on him for being nice to me. It's what the way the internet works. That's the way people are. That's the way people are, it's kind of a popular pastime to hate people for some reason, and or what they do, whether you really do or not, or whether it makes sense or not, And so, he does his thing, and I do mine, and I partook of his expertise, and as I said in the Facebook, he's a great teacher. I think I said in that posting that if you're looking for somebody who has like an overbearing personality and is going to bark at you and all that kind of thing, if you're looking for Arlie Ermy, a drill sergeant, in some kind, he's not that guy. He's a very understanding, very good teacher. Okay, very good teacher. Interested in improving what you're doing, and he demonstrates everything himself before you do it. Just all the great traits of a good teacher. So anyway, I'll quit bragging on him. I've bragged on him enough. Okay, I'm going to embarrass him. But I had a good time. 2 days, a lot of shooting, but not just throwing rounds. It was all targeted. It was all targeted to a specific skill and that sort of thing. So. Yep, that's what I did last week. Had a good time, and there was a group of some people that had to cancel out because of weather up north or something. So it was a smaller class, and it was a good class. I'm no expert in that stuff because that's the first time I've been to a training class. But I've been with people who we have a mix of folks, mix of skill levels, and all that kind of thing, everybody was pretty good, and it wasn't much wasted time, showing somebody because they just couldn't keep their finger out of the trigger guard, or they almost shot somebody's foot, or there was none of that, or they would control that anyway, but there was none of that silly stuff. It was just, we were able to move right along, and had a good time. So anyway, that's that. I don't have anything else to say about it. You probably saw the picture I posted. He's a couple of cute, ugly basset hounds, and enjoyed that. What else do I want to talk about? Guns. Let's get this thing back out. Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. I know one thing I was going to mention before. I noticed, speaking of consequences, on the news a couple, 3 days ago, you might have seen it. Got my timer down there and try to keep an eye on it. That Oracle, huge software networking company, they have changed. They're not going to have their annual conference, I guess sales conference like most companies have. They're not going to have that conference in San Francisco anymore because of I think high hotel taxes, and then the conditions of San Francisco, the streets and everything. Because you bring thousands and thousands of people to those cities when you have this. It's like the SHOT Show, the NRA meeting, and I was worked for a lot of different companies in the 80s, well, a lot, several. And we'd have sales meetings, we'd go to Marco Island, down in Florida, San Diego, where else? Miami. You look for some place that's nice, because it's nice to get everybody in one place, your various meetings and conferences and things. And also you need to go, I always, thought, wow, this is kind of a luxury thing we're doing here. I won't just bump everybody's salary up and we'll stay home. But you have to go to places like that in order to handle that many people. It's only places like, well, not only, but, it's primarily like Las Vegas or San Francisco, or maybe L.A., I don't know. In New Orleans, Miami, Marco Island. There's different places that can accommodate that type of group, and there's some competition there for hotels and everything. You get good rates, and so San Francisco was one of those places, I guess. Well, yeah, they were. I went to San Francisco in the '80s. It was what was it? The American Booksellers Association was out there for. Either that or a software conference or a library. I don't know. I was in the book business and different things, but I was there for several days, and so anyway, the point is that that's what happens. You don't take care of business. Again, you have consequences. Again, my old Robert Louis Stevenson paraphrased line about everybody eventually sits down to a banquet of consequences. And there are consequences for inaction and action. And you've got a city, and that's a lot of money pulled out of there too. Those things bring in millions, probably really, a company that large, into a city in terms of restaurant, motel, taxes, all that. And so, yeah, they lost them. So, you can not run your city well. You can let the crap literally pile up on the streets, and folks camp out everywhere in the streets. I have no desire to go there. I'm sorry for folks in unfortunate situations, but it's just the way it goes. You just all of a sudden you lose something that was pretty important, and you didn't even think about that. So your inaction or your actions, have those consequences. I always think of one thing I used to observe through my years in the corporate world or in education, both, because I survived a lot of corporate battles. I survived even in education, a lot of people let go or people fired or just various things. So I've been through a lot of that. I've seen so much of that. I don't even blink. I hear about somebody being fired somewhere and working. Okay, and I don't even make judgments, because you never know when you're in a company. If you know what I'm talking about, if you have experience with that, you don't really know the inside. You just think that so and so was a great worker. Well, what you don't know is that he was obnoxious with his boss, or he wouldn't do half of what he was supposed to do. He was always late on stuff, or whatever it might be. You just heard his side. You just don't know really what's going on. And often too, you'll have a situation where, like, maybe you and someone else report to the same manager, and he or she just has all kinds of trouble with that same person that you get along fine with. I saw that pretty often, and it just sometimes it just doesn't compute. You don't get it, and quite often it's because same thing. Bill's hard to get along with, or they just don't jive. You and that manager get along pretty well. You do your work, and that may be the reason. You do what you're supposed to do. You even exceed expectations. And Bill over here, or Judy, they barely met expectations. You thought they were doing their job, maybe they weren't, and so there was friction there you weren't aware of. So anyway, it's like trying to judge who's wrong in a divorce. Like, duh, like you really know. All you can do is nod. Yeah, I'm sure he was terrible. Yeah, I'm sure she was terrible. Because you don't really know. It's more complex than that. But to my point, you thought I lost my point, didn't you? But anyway, through the course of all those years, the decades of employment, working for other people, instead of myself, fortunate, I work for myself now, pretty much. Well, work kind of for you, don't I? Please don't fire me. I enjoy this. There would be situations where somebody is left a company. This is a little bit different, but somebody takes a job in Dallas. Okay, they've been working in Nashville, wherever we are, and they take a job in Dallas. Okay, or their wife gets a job in Dallas, or their husband, and so they're going to move to Dallas. So they make the announcement, I'm going to leave the company or leave the school where they teach or whatever it is, because their spouse took a job in some other city, or they got a job somewhere else, whatever it might be. And sometimes companies are bad about realizing their, like cities, realizing their negatives or where they're failing, falling short, because somewhere in the kitchen, that conversation one night had to begin, or the first comment about, like, the spouse considering a job, got a job offer in Dallas, for example, and then the other spouse who works with me, for example, maybe, or something, is not necessarily happy with the company, you know. And so because of that, feels like they're being treated poorly, or they're just not that 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 happy, you know, with the company, the salary or benefits or whatever it might be, chances for advancement. The boss is a little obnoxious, not very good with people, and so it's easier for him or her to say, "Yeah, honey, maybe you ought to just move to Dallas and take that job." Yeah. So the narrative is, when they make the announcement, is, you know, Joe's leaving the company because his wife, his spouse, is taking a job in Dallas she couldn't turn down, and they're moving to Dallas, and everything's hunky-dory. The company makes the announcement, and they are relieved that he didn't leave just because he was unhappy, he was mad. He really had no choice. It wasn't us. It was that his wife got a great job in Dallas. He's gone. Yeah. Or someone leaves because they decided to have a baby, or someone goes to a different company that does the same thing across the road, you know, across the city, and they get just a minimal raise, you know. So anyway, they make a big deal out of that, right? Yeah. Well, he more money, we couldn't match that salary or whatever it was, and when in reality, it wasn't enough money to make a difference. It was other things, yeah. And I speak with some expertise on it. I've been in some situations that were, I mean to tell you, that were really the banana republic of the corporate world and even the education world to some extent back in the 70s. When I say banana republic, you know, younger people think I'm talking about the clothing store. I mean, talking about, that was a term we would use for those little countries in South America that were always having a regime change, a coup or whatever. The year I left my first incarnation as a teacher in the 70s, there were 28 teachers, and 14 left that year. Okay, now if that tells you anything, and there was a high turnover every year. Now, despite that, it was a great school. The private school, been around forever. College prep, it was a great institution and still is. Okay, I would send my kids there, not think twice about it really. But at the time, there were just some folks, a couple of folks that were really hard to get along with in the management. Put it that way. I won't mention names. A little old, a little long ago to start getting into all that. But and so people would just leave. Good people, you know. And it was so funny because that was my first real experience with that. I was just out of college really, and there was always a reason though that people left every year. There was always this concrete, this reason that made sense. You know, going back to school, going to go somewhere and go to graduate school, or, you know, got married, moved, or got another job teaching, and because they wanted to coach basketball, and that job was filled here. There was always some reason like that that you could even twist around and make it sound legitimate. And often, you know, it is sometimes. You know, the nature of the professions. It's you know, people move in and out of teaching, but it was funny because I knew the reason some of those people left, and it wasn't just, you know, so they could go coach somewhere else or do something that they couldn't do there, or whatever it might have been. It was because they weren't really that happy there, and so there's always that first conversation. You know, when you decide, you're going to look around, right? And but anyway, the company always makes it sound. I mean, think about it. Most of you work for some outfit. There's always a legitimate reason why somebody quits, or they go somewhere else, right? Yeah. There's always a positive spin to put on that. So how do they get off on all that? I don't know. Is it my job to just wisen you all up to the ways of the world. I guess that's why I'm a little arrogant of me, right? Well, I know I got a lot of young people watching, and some enough. This I know we have a lot of young people watching videos, but the gun videos. I don't know how many online right now watching this, but yeah, it's a big world. It's a complex world, and it just takes time to figure all this stuff out, really. And then you don't necessarily have to figure it out correctly. I don't know everything. I don't, just my take on stuff. That's just my narrative. Anytime you hear me talking, that's just me, my opinions, my experience, my narrative. And you don't necessarily want to believe anybody. You want to experience things for yourself. Take everything with a grain of salt, young folks. Okay. Every teacher you have, just hopefully you listen carefully, and you begin to realize what makes sense and what does not. And you read a lot, you observe a lot, and I think one of the biggest, well, I'm being philosophical, one of the biggest realizations I think I had, and was over time, it didn't happen one day, but you do realize when you get into, I don't know, your 20s or 30s, or maybe when you're 18, I don't know, a lot of people smarter than I am, but when you're young, really young, you think adults have it all figured out. Even though you see the news and your parents might have gotten divorced, but by and large you think they sort of have things figured out. They know stuff. They generally make the right decision, almost all the time. They slip up some, and you got the weirdos out there. But adults just know stuff. When I get to be 25, when I get to be 30, I have stuff figured out, and I'll be on course, have things figured out. And it's really not the case, is it? That's really not the case. You're still learning your entire life, trying to figure things out at every age point, So your career and all that kind of thing, a lot of decisions you have to make, and it's that are tough to make. And you go down one path, and it leads on to other paths, and then it's tough to get back to this trail, and maybe you don't need to, you don't want to, and it just all leads on to different things. It's an interesting world. When I think about things that I have done, how so much of it hinged on one minor decision or one random thing that was totally out of my control or something. I wouldn't even be doing this if, I don't know, if I hadn't bought this land, if the internet hadn't come along when it did, or just whatever. If I hadn't gotten a wild hair one day and decided to park my Honda Element out in the driveway and shoot through it and then post it, because people were posting stupid stuff on YouTube. I was like, I might as well do that. Not many people can do this. I wasn't trying to get views and worry about views, or there was no money to be made then. There was none. Even when we started doing gun videos, there was no money to be made. So it was none of that was ever a thought. It was just, it's kind of why not. Some of you might remember, if you know me from way back, I used to hang out on Glock Talk a lot back in the, I don't know, was it the 90s? I guess I lose track of the time. But the early days, I would post on there quite often, and I remember I posted a few times. I've always been a goofball or prankster, I guess. But I remember one day I put a bunch of guns in the dishwasher, Colt single actions and whatever I had. Probably at that time most of my collection. I put them in the dishwasher, in there, and started. This one was in there, and I don't know. That picture's probably still out there somewhere. And then I go back and just took a picture of them in the dishwasher, all the handguns, and like I was going to ready to wash them. And then I just posted on Glock Talk. I think it was probably the only place I posted. I saw it show up other places, but I posted that and said something about, I was getting ready to clean my guns or something like that. I've always just enjoyed doing that kind of stuff. Not to the extent some people do. I didn't spend my life creating memes or anything like that, but I did that occasionally. I remember one time I put them on top of the Honda Element. The Honda Element's such a goofy car, in a lot of ways, looking car. And I had a kind of a top rack, and I put a bunch of rifles on the top and took a picture of that, like that's how I roll, or something like that, and posted that one time. So it was just kind of a natural follow-up to post something stupid on YouTube, shooting through the Element, opening the doors and just shooting through it and hitting the targets over on the range. It's not up now, but that's all was on YouTube that we had done, or I'd done for, about a year, I think. So I don't know where I was going with all that, except you just don't know, what's going to lead to what, and so you just sort of figure it out as you move along, and it makes life interesting. Now, some people don't do it that way. They decide they want to be an attorney, what they do when they're in school, and that's what they study to be, and they do that, and they're still doing it. But even there, things happen. They didn't know they were going to be living in Omaha, or they'd get an offer somewhere, or they get into this other area of law they didn't think they would. So you never know exactly where you're going. Markets change, the economy changes, all that sort of thing. But anyway, it's all part of it. So I'll quit philosophizing and talk about guns some more. Hopefully you have seen some guns we've done recently. I know you have. You saw the Super 90, I'm sure, another firearm. And it was great in that video. It didn't malfunction. So maybe I'm getting my confidence back with that shotgun. Not that it ever malfunctioned much, but it's a little bit like a Glock. If a Benelli, malfunctions and you can't tell why, just like a Glock, if I got good ammo and I get a malfunction, I know the magazine is fine, and I thought, or it's like, okay, I'm disturbed for a while until I figure that out. Okay, until I can trace that, want to know what's going on. Now you can have one, you can have kind of a bad round or I have had a few malfunctions before in my life where I said, well, that gun never malfunctions. It is just range ammo or something. I thought, well, maybe there was a piece of brass in the chamber hung up, and then it fell out, and I never even find it. A piece of dirt or, something that just kept it from chambering, maybe that doesn't exist now. You get the bullet out and put it back in there, and it works fine. Or, so I think that can happen. It's rare, really rare. So you don't want to throw a gun away, whether it's a CZ or a Glock or anything, just because it malfunctions one time in 10 years, because, there are mechanical devices, something can happen. But I have high expectations out of certain firearms, and if it doesn't go bang, I really, really want to know why. I want to be able to feel comfortable in what it was. There's some ammo that, had been in the trunk of the car for a year. What the heck might it be? So anyway, I don't know what else. Gosh, we always have a bunch of videos we've done. In fact, this fall we've done a lot of videos. We're coming up on some time here pretty soon now where it's going to be too cold to enjoy doing videos, and so we try to get ready for that. And so you'll see some videos where I might be in a short sleeve shirt, So it's we'll be heading to SHOT Show and different things. I don't know what else is going on coming up. It seemed like there was something I was going to mention. I don't know what it was. I have had some good times lately. Been to several gun shows. Seen a lot of you. Met a lot of you. Went to one today. yeah. Come think of it. In Bowling Green, Kentucky. So today is Saturday. That's what today is. So I drove up to Bowling Green, a small gun show, but not that far away, and thought I would. You never know what you might run into at a gun show, even a small one, especially out in the country. So I didn't find anything too interesting. I did find one thing I can't really talk about right now because I just can't talk about it yet, but I will. Okay. So I don't know what else to talk to you about and bore you with. We will be posting. I get comments from you guys how just today somebody said that they hadn't seen a video for a couple of months. They've not been getting notified. Hey guys, we post 2 or 3 every single week, like clockwork. So they're there. Just make sure you're, I guess, clicking the bell. I hear people advise. Make sure you're subscribed. But aside from all of that, just know they're being posted. Go to the home channel. Hickok 45 it's called, and click videos, and there they'll be from the most recent back. That's what I think he said he had done, and he went and saw that. Wow, he looked at a bunch of videos he hadn't seen. They're there. I guess we can't rely, and I hear a lot of people on YouTube reminding over and over and over people to click the bell and to make sure you're subscribed. So it is an issue for whatever reason. whatever reason. So just be aware. We're if we skip, I mean, we haven't skipped a week in 10 years. So I mean, we're posting videos. It's kind of what we do. So they might be dumb videos, but we're gonna post a video of some kind, and have fun making them too. Again, it's so cool to be able to shoot a I don't know 1850 Mississippi rifle, muzzle loader one day, and then some hot shot new polymer gun the next day, revolver the next day, and whatever, shotgun. There have been days I know, or like say 2 or 3 day periods, where I look back on the week and I think, wow, I'm so lucky. I just had some quality time with a couple of really cool muzzle loading rifles. Maybe a single shot rifle, cartridge gun, a new AR-15 or a cool AR-15, a new carry pistol of some sort, a Colt Python or something, maybe this, and had some fun just shooting it. And a shotgun, double barrel shotgun, and a semi-automatic shotgun, just different firearms, that week. And even making video. Now we're making videos much of the time, or I'm shooting these firearms to get ready for the video, to make sure they're sighted in and learn more about them and just enjoy them a little bit. And then, so I'll be ready to tell you about it in the video. But all of that is fun. It's not like work, at all. Even doing the video, shooting it some more in the video, even with you all looking over my shoulder so rudely, eavesdropping on me, doesn't take away from the fun of shooting them. It really doesn't. I don't know. Have you ever shot basketball? If you like to do that, it's a lot of fun, isn't it? If you're out dribbling around, just shooting baskets, having fun. What if there was a camera on you, and for whatever reason it didn't add a lot of pressure that you got to hit every shot or something, which I don't feel like I ever have to do. It'd still be fun, wouldn't it? Still be fun. And that's the way shooting is. So, and it's fun sharing it with folks, because I know with a lot of you, or some of you, the particular firearm that we're looking at, maybe you don't know a lot about it, or you might be your first time of seeing it, and you're interested in knowing more about it. And so we feel like we're actually helping, believe it or not, a little bit. And we're also having fun at the same time. So it's a great life right now, and we're enjoying it. Hope to be doing it for a long time. You never know. But I hope to be doing it, into the foreseeable future, and plan to. There's always more guns, interesting firearms, coming out. I have a lot of firearms I want to get back out. Still got some you haven't seen. I want to do more percussion revolver videos. I've got a couple we've not done videos with separately. I think you saw them in that big video we did with handgun video since 1776, whatever we called that. And so you'll be seeing those. It might be spring before we get those out again, because we're getting into cold weather. But time moves on, and before you know it, it will be spring, won't it? So, I know, there's a couple of things I should mention. When I said spring, it reminded me the NRA meeting is in Nashville this year again. Okay, so hopefully a lot of you will come to Nashville, a great city. We'll see you there. Hey, regardless of what the NRA is doing, and I don't know where they are, I hear reports both ways that they're improving in-house, and then I have indicators that they're not. So I don't know. Hopefully they will get their act together and be strong in the right ways. But at any rate, the NRA meeting, annual meeting, convention, whatever, is in Nashville this year, the greatest gun show on the planet, basically. So hopefully you can make that, and I'll see you there, I hope. Also, the Second Amendment rally is going to take place again in Washington, D.C. This next fall. So I'll try to remember to mention that in almost every Shooting the Breeze, whatever, we've got a year's notice on that. Hopefully, a lot of people will come. I'm not going to speak this year, but I'm gonna be there unless the creek rises and I can't get out or something. Uh, so I'll be there hopefully to meet a lot of you. And so plan. It's October the 24th, I believe. Okay, double check me on that, and I'll be reminding you throughout the year. And you might need a vacation and plan a vacation to Washington D.C. Very interesting place for sure. Next October. All right. Can't complain about short notice this time. You've probably already seen that it's going to happen again. All right. So that was a great day. It really was. I mean, you would really enjoy it. Okay. It's really neat. A lot of speakers, the environment. It's just a wonderful thing to do. Don't know how much effect that has always, but it's a rallying point, and boy, we need that, don't we? So anyway, keep Virginia in mind and your state in mind. Keep track of your politicians because this cancer is popping up all over the place. And then let's keep our nose to the grindstone and do the right thing. And, encourage your fellow gun owners to maybe cut out the petty stuff as much as possible, and let's all kind of work together. I mean, that's just as I said in my little lame speech there. I was quoting Benjamin Franklin in his famous lines about if we don't, hang together, we will surely hang separately, to paraphrase it. We really do need to stick together. So I'll shut up. And probably forgot some really important stuff I meant to talk about. Don't you imagine? And I'll see you again. It may be in a couple of weeks. I don't know. Whenever the weather's not too bad, and it's been a couple of weeks, I might come out here and just demonstrate my insanity again by talking to the trees and you all. Okay? Appreciate your all support more than you know. Again, the people that support us, you know who they are. We're very transparent. Somebody made a comment about since we have the silver sponsor, precious metal sponsor, that they thought they tuned into an infomercial or something. I think, hey, that's kind of the nature. It's one of our goals is to have sponsors that have nothing to do necessarily with we're not trying to get away from the gun industry. It's just that we can't have firearms makers supporting us, or there goes our objectivity right out the window, right? So we don't get favors from firearms, folks, and so yeah, it's great for us. Give a plug to APMEX, kind of thing. So. Just because they have nothing to do with the firearms, well, they sort of do. We all like precious metals, I think. Anyway, Federal and Buds, Sonoran Desert Institute, Talon Grips, Battlestall. We really appreciate all 6 of those entities, helping us out because there's no conflict. That's the beauty of it. There's no conflict with any of them. We don't review any of those things side by side with other makers of those things and then pretend we're objective. It's right where we wanted to be. And most of you know that and you appreciate it. I hear from you all the time. That you understand that. It's just the occasional envious troll, of course, who doesn't like it. So anyway, I'm going to shut up. I really have, I think, been more of a rambler today than I normally am. If that's possible, I'm sorry, apologize. I kind of decided at the last minute I was going to do this. I said, hey, I'm not doing anything today really that I have to be, the weather's not bad. I might just go over in the woods and talk to my favorite people, the people who like guns, and tune in. So that's what I did. I done it. Good to talk to y'all, and I hope you have a great week, and also I hope you have a great Christmas. If you celebrate Christmas, the holidays, whatever you call it, Hanukkah, whatever your religion, you know how we operate. I have a short fuse for bigotry. I really do. And I don't get all wrapped around the axle over a lot of that stuff that everybody else does. I just like to live and let live, celebrate whatever you celebrate, I'm probably not as religious as you, but I love Christmas. I've always celebrated Christmas. It's a big tradition in my house since I was a baby. A baby. Okay? Everybody celebrates everything in different ways, or they don't celebrate it. Yeah, we got more important things to worry about. We do. So anyway, it is December. So yeah, I think more people are in we'll call it the holiday spirit, whatever your holiday is. And yeah, take advantage of that, okay? And just enjoy life. It's short, but it's good. Life is good.
Hey, I don't have a lot of time. I'm right in the middle of something, but I want to let you guys know about the people who support us. BudsGunShop.com. Great selection of firearms. Federal premium ammo, wide variety of different calibers. SDI.edu. You can get certified in gunsmithing. APMEX.com. Great site for precious metals, gold and silver and copper and other things. Also, TalonGunGrips.com. You can get grips, give you a better grip on your handgun or your rifles. Ballistol. Great lubricant and a cleaner. Check them out. We appreciate everyone that supports us. Also go to Hickok45.com. I got some stuff to do. Hopefully I'll see you guys later.